Governors around the country are preparing for a balance of power shift in Washington, D.C. as President-elect Donald Trump's term begins in 2 months. Joining us now, fresh off of a trip to meet with fellow governors, is Josh Green. Aloha and good morning, Governor Green. Thank you so much for stopping by with us.
Aloha, thank you.
So President-elect Trump said that he would use a national emergency as well as military assets to deport millions of people across the country. How do you think that would impact us here in Hawaii?
It could have an impact. You know, my job as governor is to make sure I look out for people. I'm not going to let families be destroyed. We do have about 40,000 migrants here. Many of them provide incredibly important work for us, and they have been integrated into our society. We're talking about a lot of people that work in agriculture, a lot of people work in the restaurant industry, which helps tourism. But at the end of the day, we're going to be kind and compassionate to people. Unlike some of the rhetoric, we do not see extra crime from immigrants. That's not really what goes on. And I'd remind people that most of our relatives were immigrants. My grandfather was one of them. So we're going to be thoughtful about this. If there is anyone who's behaved badly, of course they would leave the country. But that's always been the case.
President-elect Trump has picked RFK Jr. to be his director of Department of Health and Human Services. Back in 2019, you went to Samoa to administer vaccines. There was a measles outbreak. 83 people, much of them young children, died. You said you had an experience with people back then with sowing some sort of fear of vaccines. What was your experience there?
Yeah, RFK Jr. went to Samoa and demagogued the idea that vaccines were hurting people. He collapsed that vaccination program, and that meant 83 people died. We were asked by the Prime Minister to come in, and I took a medical mission team to Samoa. We vaccinated the entire country. We did just under 37,000 vaccines in 2 days, and that stopped the measles. If he does that kind of thing in America, you'll see outbreaks of measles, mumps, rubella, polio, meningitis. He's a terrible pick for HHS Secretary, and I hope that the President-elect will pick someone else. A conservative Republican, perhaps, totally fine. His former Surgeon General, Dr. Adams, good person, for example. So we have to, again, look out for our keiki. This stuff shouldn't be political, and RFK should go down.
Here in Hawaii, looking at the Department of Health's numbers as far as immunizations go, incomplete immunizations, it went from 3% to 7%. The latest numbers jumped to 19%. Any concern there? And if so, anything plans to stop this from getting worse?
Yes, that's part of the trend, where you have people using misinformation or even disinformation to torpedo vaccination programs, which are totally safe. And then you're going to see outbreaks in areas that are more rural, where people don't have as much health literacy. I experienced that as a physician in Ka'u, where sometimes he saw dips in the vaccination rates. Look, vaccinations are our best preventative measure to keep kids healthy. We should not be questioning that. There's lots of good health debates that can occur, but vaccinations are safe.
We did have an outbreak of H5N1, the bird flu, within a bird population in central Oahu. Any concern there?
Yeah, just to make sure that there's not any kind of connection between vaccinations and that outbreak. Occasionally, these kind of viruses break out in the bird community, and it's concerning because you could lose a whole lot of the poultry industry. We worry about that. The Department of Health has done a very good job. I have a great director of health, Kenny Fink, and his team did a good job kind of leaning in quickly, but that can happen. Just so people know, if that virus ends up affecting people, it's been very minor. It's causing conjunctivitis. That's kind of like, red eye, so pink eye, and it's not been that consequential. Even the upper respiratory infections that people have gotten from these kind of viruses have been very minor.
Switching gears from health to athletics, athletics director Craig Angeles was let go by David Lassner at the University of Hawaii. As the university and Wendy Hensel look to fill that role, what kind of person would you like to see in that position?
I'd like to see someone that can unite both sides. I don't know if people remember, and Craig's a very good human being. I really like him a lot. But that was a contentious appointment in the beginning. 2 years ago, there were factions that were fighting over this. And we don't need factions, because the program is a wonderful one. We're going to build a new stadium. We want to move forward. And the mayor's team had some concerns over the last couple years, and I understand they're very passionate. I love our mayor. But also, we want to have everyone work together, because we have limited resources. The NIL program, that's name and likeness, where you recruit players with money. We're at a disadvantage. We're not Alabama. We're not, even UCLA, right? So we have to all work together. We're going to write good recommendations for Craig, at least I am. And frankly, I would like everyone to come to consensus. There was discussion about having a really dynamic kind of legend type athletic director. we'll see how that plays out. But I want to defer to the new president because when she comes on, I think, January 2nd, she's got her hands full, but shaping athletics could help shape some of our economic development. I'm bringing in professional sports teams. We want our college programs to be thriving, and I want her to be able to own that.
All right, and switching gears now to Thanksgiving. We got Thanksgiving coming up. Well, we talked about the top 5 sides in the United States. I think stuffing was #1. Do you have a favorite Thanksgiving side, Governor?
I do. I'm going to buck the national trend and go with mashed potatoes and gravy.
Tough one. That's undefeated in my household. I'll take them all, though. Governor Green, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Aloha.
Aloha.
All right, folks, coming up next, we'll have a quick check